Deep in the heart of Africa lies a stone circle that predates human civilization as we know it, challenging everything archaeologists thought they knew about our ancestors and sparking one of the most heated debates in modern African history. Welcome back to African Folklore Archives, where we uncover the stories that connect us to our deepest roots. I'm here to share something with you today that's going to shake everything you thought you knew about ancient Africa. Now, I know you've probably heard about Stonehenge in England, that famous circle of stones that everyone talks about when they mention ancient mysteries. But what if I told you that right here in Africa, in the mountains of South Africa, there's a stone circle that might be tens of thousands of years older? Most people believe that ancient Africans were simple hunter-gatherers who didn't build permanent structures until much later in history. That's the story we've all been told, isn't it? The conventional wisdom says that sophisticated astronomical knowledge and stone construction came to Africa from outside influences, Arabs, Europeans, or other civilizations. But today, I'm going to take you on a journey to a place called Adam's Calendar, where the evidence suggests something completely different. We're going to explore the possibility that our African ancestors possessed astronomical knowledge that rivals anything built by ancient civilizations around the world. And here's what's really going to surprise you. This isn't some fringe theory. This site has been officially recognized as a national monument, and the controversy surrounding it involves some serious scientists and researchers who can't agree on what they're looking at. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the discovery of this mysterious site, the mind-blowing claims about its age, the scientific controversy that's still raging today, and what it all means for our understanding of African history. And I'll show you evidence that will make you question everything you've been taught about when human civilization really began. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to have your mind open to possibilities that might change how you see our ancestors forever? Let's start with a story that sounds like something out of a movie. In 2003, a South African researcher named Michael Tellinger was flying over the Mpumalanga province when he spotted something unusual from the air. Down below, arranged in a perfect circle on a mountaintop, were massive stones that seemed deliberately placed. Now, you have to understand, this area is remote. We're talking about rugged mountains where few people venture. But there it was, clear as day. A stone circle that looked like it had been waiting for centuries to be rediscovered. When Tellinger and his team finally made it to the site on foot, what they found left them speechless. We're talking about a circular arrangement of standing stones, each one carefully positioned, with the entire structure measuring about 30 meters across. But here's where it gets really interesting. These weren't just random rocks. The stones were arranged with precision that suggested deep astronomical knowledge. Now, before we go any further, I need to be completely honest with you about something. What I'm about to share with you is controversial. The claims about this site have sparked heated debates in archaeological circles, and not everyone agrees with the interpretations. But that's exactly why this story is so fascinating, because it forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about what we really know about our past. Michael Tellinger and his colleague Johann Heine claimed that Adam's Calendar, named for being potentially the oldest man-made structure on Earth, could be as much as 75,000 years old. Let that sink in for a moment. If that's true, it would make this site 3 times older than Stonehenge, and it would mean that our African ancestors were creating sophisticated astronomical calendars when the rest of the world was still in the depths of the Stone Age. But how could they make such a bold claim about the age? Here's where the story gets really intriguing. The researchers used a method called archaeoastronomy, the study of how ancient people understood astronomy. They found that the stones are aligned with the cardinal points of the compass and the movements of the sun with incredible precision. The main calendar stone casts a shadow that tracks the movement of the sun throughout the year, effectively creating a Stone Age computer that could predict seasons, solstices, and equinoxes. Can you imagine our ancestors 75,000 years ago having this level of understanding about the cosmos? Think about that for a second. While conventional history tells us that humans were just learning to control fire and make basic tools, the evidence at Adam's calendar suggests that some of our African ancestors might have been sophisticated astronomers. Now, I know what you're thinking. If this is so revolutionary, why isn't it front-page news around the world? And that's where our story takes a turn that might sound familiar to anyone who's studied how African achievements have been treated throughout history. The mainstream archaeological community has been largely skeptical of the 75,000-year claims. In 2010, an independent technical analysis was conducted, and the researchers concluded that there was no evidence to support the ancient age claims. The official position of many archaeologists is that the stone circle is more likely from the 16th century and could have been a cattle pen or kraal built by local communities. But here's what's fascinating about this controversy. It's not just about dating methods or archaeological techniques. It's about something deeper. It's about our willingness to accept that African civilizations might have achieved things that challenge our understanding of human development. Let me share with you some of the evidence that keeps this mystery alive. The site sits at an altitude of about 1,600 meters above sea level, positioned perfectly to observe celestial movements. The main calendar stone is a massive piece of dolerite that's been shaped and positioned to cast shadows with remarkable precision. During the summer solstice, the shadow cast by this stone creates a perfect sundial that ancient people could have used to mark the longest day of the year. But it's not just one stone. The entire site appears to be part of a larger network of stone circles and structures scattered across the region. Researchers have identified hundreds of similar stone ruins in the area, suggesting that this wasn't just a random construction, but part of a sophisticated understanding of landscape and astronomy. The positioning is what really gets your attention. The circle is aligned to true north with an accuracy that would impress modern surveyors. The stones mark not just the cardinal directions, but also the rising points of prominent stars and constellations that would have been visible to ancient observers. Now, whether this site is 75,000 years old or 500 years old, one thing is undeniable. Whoever built it had a deep understanding of astronomy and stone construction that deserves our respect and recognition. But let's talk about why this matters beyond just the age debate. What Adam's calendar represents is something profound about how we view African contributions to human knowledge. For too long, the narrative has been that sophisticated astronomy came to Africa from outside, that stone construction was brought by foreign influences, that African civilizations were always following rather than leading in human development. Yet here we have evidence, regardless of its exact age, of African communities creating astronomical instruments and stone structures that demonstrate sophisticated knowledge. The very existence of this site challenges us to reconsider what we think we know about the capabilities of ancient African peoples. I want you to think about this for a moment. What if our ancestors were making astronomical calculations and tracking celestial movements thousands of years before we gave them credit for it? What if the knowledge that built the pyramids, that created the astronomical temples of ancient Egypt, that guided African navigators across vast oceans, what if all of that knowledge has much deeper roots than we've been willing to acknowledge? The controversy around Adam's calendar isn't really about stones and dates. It's about the bigger picture of African achievement and how willing we are to expand our understanding of what our ancestors were capable of. Even if we accept the more conservative dating that places the site at a few hundred years old, we're still looking at evidence of sophisticated astronomical knowledge among indigenous African communities. We're still seeing proof that African peoples were creating permanent structures designed to track celestial movements with remarkable precision. And here's something that should make us all pause and think. This site was officially declared a national monument by the South African government in 1975, long before the recent publicity and controversy. The local communities have oral traditions about the site that speak of it being a place of ancient knowledge and spiritual significance. These aren't recent inventions or tourist attractions. These are long-standing recognitions that something important happened at this location. What strikes me most about Adam's calendar is how it represents the ongoing struggle for African history to be taken seriously on its own terms. Whether this site is thousands of years old or hundreds of years old, it stands as testament to the fact that African communities were creating sophisticated structures based on deep astronomical knowledge. The precision of the alignments, the careful selection of the location, the integration of the stone circle with the natural landscape, all of this speaks to a level of planning and knowledge that deserves recognition regardless of when it was built. But there's something else this controversy teaches us, and it's something that resonates deeply with the broader story of African achievement. How often have we seen African accomplishments dismissed, minimized, or attributed to outside influences? How many times have we been told that the sophisticated aspects of African civilizations must have come from somewhere else? Adam's calendar forces us to confront these biases head-on. It challenges us to consider that maybe, just maybe, our African ancestors were achieving things that don't fit neatly into the conventional timeline of human development. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not asking you to accept any particular claim about the age of this site. What I'm asking you to do is to keep an open mind about the possibilities, to consider that the story of African achievement might be far richer and more complex than we've been led to believe. The stones at Adam's calendar are still there. They're still aligned with celestial movements. They still demonstrate a level of astronomical knowledge that impresses modern observers. The controversy about their age doesn't diminish the fact that they represent African achievement in stone construction and astronomical observation. As we conclude this journey to Adam's calendar, I want you to remember that this isn't just about one site in South Africa. It's about a much bigger question. How willing are we to expand our understanding of what ancient African civilizations achieved? The stone circle at Adam's calendar stands as a reminder that African history is full of mysteries waiting to be understood. Whether this site is 75,000 years old or 500 years old, it represents the knowledge, skill, and astronomical understanding of African peoples. It challenges us to look beyond the conventional narratives and consider that our ancestors might have been achieving remarkable things long before we gave them credit. The controversy surrounding Adam's calendar isn't going away anytime soon. Scientists will continue to debate the dating methods and archaeological evidence. But regardless of how that debate resolves, we're left with something undeniable: evidence of sophisticated African achievement in astronomy and stone construction that deserves our attention and respect. What do you think? Does the story of Adam's calendar change how you think about ancient African knowledge? Have you ever visited sites that made you question what you thought you knew about the past? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story opened your mind to new possibilities about African history, don't forget to subscribe and keep the conversation going. Our ancestors' stories deserve to be told, debated, and remembered. And who knows what other mysteries are waiting to be discovered in the rich landscape of African heritage. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that connect us to our deepest roots.